In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where alien civilizations measure power by the brightness of their proclamations and the volume of their threats, humanity discovered something far more dangerous: the art of silence. While others roared their intentions across star systems, humans learned to whisper their plans in shadows, to smile while calculating, to appear weak while growing strong. The Galactic Council thought they understood every species' nature. The Krillian Empire conquered through brute force. The Ethereal Collective dominated through psychic manipulation. The Synthetic Alliance crushed opposition with cold logic. But humans? Humans were dismissed as primitive negotiators, harmless diplomats who talked too much and achieved too little. They were catastrophically wrong. What they failed to recognize was that humanity had spent millennia perfecting the most lethal skill in the universe: the ability to hide in plain sight while reshaping reality itself. Every handshake was a chess move. Every treaty was a trap decades in the making. Every seemingly innocent human settlement was a carefully placed piece on a galactic board that only humans could see. The aliens thought they were playing checkers. Humanity was playing chess, poker, and psychological warfare simultaneously, and they had been playing for centuries before anyone else even realized the game had begun. This is the story of how humanity didn't just survive first contact. This is how they became the invisible empire that controlled the galaxy without anyone knowing they were being controlled at all. Ambassador Elena Vesquez adjusted her simple gray diplomatic robes and stepped into the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. Around her, representatives from 47 different species sat in towering seats arranged in concentric circles, each trying to outshine the others with elaborate displays of power and prestige. The Krillian delegation wore armor that gleamed like molten gold, their forearms crossed in deliberate intimidation. The Ethereal Collective floated in shimmering energy fields that pulsed with psychic resonance. The Zephyrian trade princes draped themselves in silks that changed colors with their moods, currently flashing aggressive reds and territorial oranges. Elena took her assigned seat in the outer ring, the section reserved for minor species and developing civilizations. Her human delegation consisted of only herself and two assistants, Dr. Marcus Chan and Lieutenant Sarah Park, both dressed in equally unremarkable clothing. To the assembled alien dignitaries, they looked like exactly what the Galactic Council had classified them as: a young, primitive species barely worth acknowledging. The praetor of the council, a towering crystalline being called Zaxthor, resonated with authority as he spoke. "We convene today to address the territorial disputes in the outer spiral arm. The Krillian Empire has filed formal complaints about human expansion into systems they claim by right of conquest." General Thakmore of the Krillian delegation rose from his seat, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber. His forearms gestured aggressively as he spoke in his species' naturally threatening tone. "Honored Council, these humans spread like a plague across systems that rightfully belong to the Empire. They established their pitiful colonies on worlds we conquered 3 centuries ago, claiming peaceful settlement while violating sacred laws of territorial supremacy." Murmurs of agreement rippled through several delegations. The concept of territorial rights through conquest was well established in galactic law, even if many species privately despised the Krillians for their brutality. Elena stood slowly, her movement so understated that several representatives didn't even notice at first. When she spoke, her voice was soft, almost apologetic. "Honored Praetor, esteemed representatives, I must respectfully disagree with General Thakmore's characterization of human activities." A few beings in the chamber actually laughed. The Ethereal Collective's representative, a being of pure energy called the Voice of Infinite Wisdom, projected amused condescension directly into the minds of everyone present. "The human speaks as if her words carry weight in this assembly." Elena smiled, an expression so genuinely humble that it seemed to confirm every assumption about human weakness. "You're absolutely right to question my standing here. Humans are indeed newcomers to galactic civilization. We've been part of this council for barely 50 standard years. We have no great fleets, no psychic powers, no advanced technologies that surpass what already exists." She paused, letting her apparent admission of inferiority settle in the chamber. Several representatives had already begun turning their attention elsewhere, clearly considering the matter resolved. However, Elena continued, her voice still soft but carrying a strange quality that made everyone unconsciously lean forward. I would like to present some documentation regarding the specific systems in question. Dr. Chen stepped forward with a simple data tablet, nothing like the holographic displays and neural interfaces other species used. Elena projected a basic star chart that showed the disputed systems as simple green dots against a black background. These 17 systems, she said, pointing to the highlighted areas, were indeed conquered by the Krillian Empire 312 years ago. The empire established military outposts on 6 worlds and extracted resources for approximately 40 years before abandoning them due to logistical challenges. General Thakmore's 4 arms crossed defensively. Temporary withdrawal for strategic redeployment does not constitute abandonment. Elena nodded respectfully. Of course not, General. Which is why we checked the Imperial Registry of Territorial Claims, filed annually with this very council as required by Article 7 of the Galactic Territorial Accords. The chamber grew noticeably quieter. Elena's assistants could see the subtle tells, the way certain delegations suddenly stopped their side conversations, the way the praetor's crystalline structure shifted to focus more intently on the human representative. According to these official filings, Elena continued, displaying a series of documents that looked authentic but impossibly detailed. The Krillian Empire formally reclassified these systems from conquered territory to abandoned military positions in year 2847 of the Galactic Standard Calendar. This reclassification remained in effect for 268 years. General Thakmore's natural red coloration deepened to an angry crimson. Those classifications were administrative errors. Oh, I completely understand, Elena replied with genuine sympathy. Managing an empire across thousands of systems must create enormous bureaucratic challenges. However, under Article 12 of the same accords, any territory abandoned for more than 2 centuries reverts to unclaimed status unless specifically refiled for territorial maintenance. The voice of infinite wisdom projected skeptical inquiry into the chamber. These records seem remarkably detailed for a species that has only recently achieved interstellar capability. Elena's smile grew slightly warmer. You raise an excellent point. Humans may be technologically primitive, but we have certain natural talents. We're very good at keeping records, and we have an almost obsessive attention to detail when it comes to legal documentation. When we applied for council membership 50 years ago, we spent considerable time studying the complete historical archives to understand galactic law. She gestured to Dr. Chen, who produced another tablet. We also discovered some interesting inconsistencies in territorial filings across multiple species. For instance, the Ethereal Collective has 17 systems listed as psychically claimed that have never been physically visited according to navigation records. The Zephyrian Trade Federation has claimed exclusive mining rights to asteroid belts that don't actually contain mineable resources. The chamber had gone completely silent now. Elena could see the calculations beginning in alien minds, the sudden recognition that perhaps the primitive humans had been paying more attention than anyone realized. Now, we certainly don't want to cause problems, Elena continued, her tone remaining humble and conciliatory. Humans are naturally peaceful. We prefer negotiation to conflict. So when we began establishing our small colonies in these systems, we made sure to file all proper documentation and follow every protocol. She paused, letting Dr. Chen project a new display showing human settlements throughout the disputed region. We also took the liberty of conducting comprehensive surveys of all systems we entered. We wanted to make sure we weren't accidentally trespassing on anyone's legitimate claims. These surveys revealed some fascinating information. The new display showed detailed scans of military installations, resource deposits, and strategic positions throughout the region. The data was so precise, so comprehensive, that several representatives began shifting uncomfortably in their seats. For instance, we discovered that the Krillian Empire has been operating illegal mining operations in the Vega 7 system for the past 30 years, extracting resources from territory they officially abandoned. We also found evidence of Zephyrian black market trading posts in systems they've never formally claimed. Most interestingly, we detected ethereal collective surveillance stations monitoring communications across the entire sector. General Thakmore rose to his feet, all 4 hands clenched into fists. These accusations are intolerable. The empire will not be questioned by primitive upstarts. Elena's expression remained perfectly calm, but something in her eyes shifted. For just a moment, several of the more perceptive representatives caught a glimpse of something that didn't match her humble demeanor, an intelligence that was cold, calculating, and far more dangerous than anything they had expected from humanity. "General, I'm not making accusations," she said softly. "I'm simply sharing information we gathered during our routine surveys. Information that we felt obligated to share with the Council, as required by our membership oath." She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with representatives from multiple species. "You see, humans believe very strongly in transparency and rule of law. We think galactic civilization works best when everyone follows the same rules and honest mistakes are corrected through open dialogue rather than force." The praetor resonated with what might have been uncertainty. "Ambassador Vasquez, what exactly is humanity proposing?" Elena's smile became genuinely warm, almost motherly. "We propose a comprehensive review of territorial claims throughout the outer spiral arm. We've prepared detailed documentation for every system, including historical surveys, resource assessments, and legal analyses going back 500 years. We believe this information will help the Council make fair decisions about all disputed territories." Dr. Chen and Lieutenant Park began distributing data tablets to every delegation in the chamber. The devices were simple, almost crude compared to alien technology, but the information they contained was staggering in its scope and precision. "We've identified approximately 400 systems where territorial claims conflict with actual occupation patterns," Elena continued. "We've documented resource extraction operations that violate environmental treaties. We've mapped trade routes that appear to ignore established territorial boundaries. We've even found evidence of several species claiming the same systems under different legal frameworks." The chamber erupted into chaos as representatives began reviewing the data. Angry discussions broke out between delegations as they discovered evidence of their neighbors' violations. Accusations flew across species lines as hidden operations were suddenly exposed. Through it all, Elena remained standing calmly in her simple robes, watching the alien civilizations turn on each other with information that humanity had somehow gathered without anyone noticing. The voice of infinite wisdom projected focused inquiry directly at Elena. "How did your species acquire this level of detailed intelligence about operations across multiple sectors?" Elena's humble smile never wavered. "We asked nicely," she said simply. "You'd be surprised how much people will tell you if you approach them with genuine curiosity and respect. Humans are very good listeners." Lieutenant Park could barely suppress a smile. She knew the real answer. Humanity had spent 50 years appearing helpless and primitive while systematically mapping every aspect of galactic civilization. Every human diplomat, trader, student, and tourist had been an information gatherer. Every conversation had been recorded and analyzed. Every casual interaction had been part of a vast intelligence operation that made the alien civilization's spy networks look like children playing games. The Krillian general was now engaged in a heated argument with the Zephyrian delegation about overlapping mining claims. The ethereal collective was defensively justifying their surveillance network to increasingly suspicious neighbors. The entire careful balance of galactic politics was unraveling as species discovered just how much their secret operations had been observed and documented. Elena waited for the shouting to die down before speaking again. "Honored representatives, we don't need to resolve all these issues today. What we propose is a systematic, peaceful approach to clarifying territorial boundaries throughout this region of the galaxy." She gestured to the star map, which now showed hundreds of systems highlighted in different colors representing various types of disputed claims. Humans would be willing to serve as neutral arbitrators for any territorial disputes. "We have no prior claims in most of these systems, and our natural tendency toward detailed record-keeping makes us well suited for this kind of work. We could help establish clear, legally sound boundaries that respect everyone's legitimate interests." The calculation was brilliant in its simplicity. By positioning themselves as humble mediators, humans would gain official authority over territorial decisions throughout a vast region of space. They would become the arbiters of galactic law in hundreds of systems, with access to detailed intelligence about every species' operations and strategic interests. The praetor resonated with something approaching admiration. This is a comprehensive proposal. The council will need time to review all this information and consider the implications. Elena bowed respectfully. Of course, honored praetor. We understand that decisions of this magnitude require careful consideration. Humans are naturally patient. We're willing to wait as long as necessary for the council to reach a fair resolution. As the session was called to recess, Elena gathered her simple materials and prepared to leave. Around her, alien delegations clustered in urgent discussions, trying to understand how their careful political games had been so thoroughly exposed by a species they had dismissed as irrelevant. Dr. Chen leaned close to Elena as they walked toward the exit. "Think they're beginning to suspect," he whispered. Elena's smile remained perfectly humble and unthreatening. "Suspect what?" "That we're exactly what we appear to be, a peaceful species that pays attention to details and believes in following the rules?" Lieutenant Park suppressed a laugh. The rules that humanity was following were indeed galactic law, but they were playing the game at a level that the other species hadn't even realized existed. While aliens fought over territory through conquest and intimidation, humans had been quietly learning every loophole, every precedent, every bureaucratic mechanism that actually controlled how the galaxy functioned. As they exited the council chamber, Elena could feel the weight of alien attention on her back. Some of the more intelligent representatives were beginning to realize that something significant had just happened, even if they couldn't quite identify what it was. The first move had been played. Humanity had revealed just enough of their capabilities to completely reshape the political landscape while still appearing to be humble, peaceful negotiators who had stumbled into a position of influence through diligent paperwork and genuine desire to help. Now the real game could begin.